Is there a Bigfoot story that really sticks out to you? Like I know those dogmen.
The one I had experience with? No.
Have you
I
had?
did.
Has there anything happened since you've started? Like, has there been? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, Expedition Dogman launched me into this whole going out and doing stuff, and the guys that I do it with, we're very different. Like, I mean, we range from like I'm charismatic to Ward who's reformed, and we're out here doing this thing, and we all feel in our own ways that like God positioned us here to do these things, and goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like I really believe the supernatural realm needs exposure, and there's a hunger for people to understand that there's a spiritual world, and we go out and we do stuff, some crazy stuff that people say is crazy. To us, it just feels I don't want to say normal, but just like meant to do. And we did a documentary out in Washington State called Sasquatch and the Missing Man, and we went to ground zero of the guy I mentioned earlier, Wes Germer. The way he got into the topic was him and his brother went out on the mountain after their dad passed away, just kind of blow steam one night. They're just driving around, and they found themselves on a logging road, and they pull off onto even more of a logging road. It's like overgrown and everything, and they're just sitting there, and Woody was debating whether he was actually going to take his vehicle down this road, and he gets out and he gets back in, and Wes is like, dude, don't go down there, like let's just get out of here. And then they start hearing people, what they thought was people walking in on them on all directions, front, sides, and back. And it wasn't until and they had guns in the car, so they get their guns and they're like, did we stumble across a grow op? Like we're not trying to have problems here. It wasn't until whatever was behind the car growled that they realized, okay, this isn't people. And he said that the growl was so deep that they could feel it in the car. They could physically feel this growl vibrating in them.
Dang.
And they back the vehicle out and they pull off down the road just a little bit. And Woody pulls over. Their adrenaline's pumping. Like Wes tells the story way better than me. Like he lived it. But at this moment, they pull over. And there's these Bigfoot creatures that start coming out of not just one, many. And I think there's like 4 in total. And all ranging in sizes. The one was in the tree next to them. They could see the silhouette of it.
Oh my gosh.
And the biggest one would like march across this logging road in an aggressive way. Like, it was like almost like trying to like strut its stuff. Like, yeah, you want some of this? You want some? Get out of your vehicle. I promise you, you won't. And another one dropped down on all 4, and he said the way, and it's so hard for me to picture, but he said the way it crossed the road was on all 4, and it didn't walk with its arms and legs like you would think. It literally used its fingers and its toes to walk across the road. Yeah, and so like this story, they come out and they start talking about this story, and they wanted to run in. They wanted to meet other people who they're like, we can't be the only ones that saw this thing. They didn't even know it was Bigfoot at the time. Like they thought they ran into a monsters until they started looking into it and they're like, oh, this was probably Bigfoot. They went back up, they found footprints, and so he starts Sasquatch Chronicles, and I asked him, I said it was like a flyer because I was like, Wes is not going to have this. I was like, Wes, would you let me come out there and shoot a documentary on your story on Ground Zero? Like, take me there. And he's like, for you, I'll do it. And so we did it, and we went out there, and we documented this journey of going to Ground Zero where this legendary story happened. And while we're out there, we uncovered, the reason why it's Sasquatch and Missing Man is because we actually uncovered a missing person case while we were out there.
Whoa.
At Ground Zero. Like literally like maybe 200 feet away from where it happened to Wes. We found this van that was parked there. The camp was set up but not used. We found weed and the bomb unused. Like it was just gone. And like the first day we were up there, and we're like, oh, that's weird. You know, but we leave it alone. At the end of the week, it's still there, untouched. And we found Nikes up the trail going closer to where he was at. And they were like fresh Nikes or some kind of sneaker. And so we're like, there's something on here. So we reported it, and we talked about it on his show. And the guy's ex-fiance that was missing, because he had a tag on his vehicle. We saw his name. I think it was John Guffey or Duffy. And his ex-fiance heard us talking about it and reached out, and we got her connected with the whole situation. And I reached out to her a little bit before we dropped the documentary. And I said, any updates on John? And she said, no, I took possession of the vehicle. But they did search the entire area, and they found 4 dead bodies out there. None of them were John. And yeah. And then like a week or two before we dropped the documentary, a report came out that in that area, they found the skull. A biker was riding a bike trail, and he found human remains and a human skull off the trail. And the police were like, oh, it's John. It's John. And I'm like, no, it's not. It can't be John. You searched that entire area like nearly a year before, and you haven't tested anything. You just kind of trying to write this one off. And so I say that whole story because the last night we were there, we're getting back in the last night we were there, we had the most activity. Like something was coming in on the RV that we drove up there, which I do not recommend driving an RV up a mountain logging road. Not smart. But we had tapping, we had whistling. There was something out there that was curious. So we go out.
Hungry is the right word.
Yeah, probably. And at this time we only had one cameraman, and Ward got on the RV because he was going to shoot us getting on the RV. And we're getting on the RV, and me and Joel are the last ones to get on, and we hear that growl. And I can tell you, it was so deep, and I felt it. Joel felt it. And it, like, in the split second, you're like, it's right there. Like, that's how it felt. It was right there.
Yeah.
And so we turn around and we don't see anything, and we walk back to the back of the RV, and I'm like, it is right around the corner. It's here. And we go around the corner, and we see absolutely nothing. We didn't see it, but we felt that growl. And it's not the only time that me and Joel had some really crazy stuff happen in the woods, because one night we were in Tennessee, and it was about 2:00 in the morning. We got charged. It was. Can I tell this story?
Oh yeah.
I'm just telling stories now.
Please, we're on the edge of our seats, man.
What do you mean? Finish the story.
Okay, so we were shooting another documentary, and the worst thing that happened, that can happen, is you set out to shoot a documentary, you invested money, and the documentary that you're shooting falls through. And so you invested all this money, and you're like, what are we going to shoot? We can't do this documentary anymore. And so we find ourselves in West Kentucky, and I'm mad. I am so angry because I have the whole crew there. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I tell my wife what's going on, and about a couple hours later, she calls me, and I'm like, what? And she's like, hey, now. She's like, I know this isn't a good time, but I know you're going through a lot of stuff, and we just got an email, and this guy is in East Kentucky, and he said that just last night he shot at a dogman. And I was like, perfect. We're shooting a dogman film. And I was like, boys, saddle up. We're going to East Kentucky. And we found ourselves at this guy's property, investigating it. And then the next night we found ourselves in this cave that goes like miles into the earth. And
no, I'm good. I wouldn't do that.
To enter the cave, the opening was like 15 feet high. The roofs were like 30 feet high. And it just goes back for miles. And that whole trip was absolutely nothing to me because of what happened at the end. We find ourselves down in East Tennessee just trying to chase stories at this point.
Yeah.
And we go to, he's now passed away, Scott Carpenter. And we go to an area where he developed a method where he would hike through the woods, and he would have a GoPro on a gimbal facing backwards. So his thought was, these things hide. When I pass by, they peek out. And he had a lot of success with that. And one time, ask L.A. Marzulli when he comes here about this, because he has the video.
Okay.
Scott found a footage on his GoPro of this like bubble opening up off the trail as he walked through already, and something manifesting in it.
What?
And yeah. And so we go to this area, and we check it out, and we go to one last area, and that's where Scott's actually buried. And it's an area that actually he researched heavily, very heavily, and had a lot of experiences. And so we're out there, we're going down these deep trails out in the woods. And earlier that day, I called a guy and told him we were going there. And so he scouted it for us. And he goes down there, and it had just rained, and there's like this valley and a bunch of mud at the bottom. And he stops his motorcycle because he sees this giant canine print in the mud. And he took a picture of it and sent it to me. He had a skull can next to it, and his skull can just was like dwarfed by this canine print. And I was like, this is perfect. And so we go there and we're investigating, and we don't see a whole lot. So Joel and I, it's probably about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'm fighting a respiratory infection, and we're tired. We're kind of deflated. Like the trip didn't go the way we wanted it to. And I said to him, hey man, you want to go out one more time? Like we'll just go out and just for whatever. And so he goes, and we go down to that spot where we found the print, and we see these 2 trails going off. And so we went down one trail all the way down to the river, nothing. Go to the other trail, and it's overgrown, and like nothing big came through here. So we're going back to base camp, and we see one trail that we never saw before. And we go down that trail, and we have this smell come in, and people talk about the Bigfoot smell.
Yeah.
And I got sick to my stomach, and I don't know if it was from the smell or the mucus that I had been swallowing all day. And I squat down, and I was doing this like vlog thing where I was carrying a night vision camera on a handheld tripod. And so I squat down and I set it up, and I'm just facing me, and I'm squatted down, and we're lights out. And so I can see myself on the screen, but that's all I can see. And then it's completely quiet, and we hear something bipedally walking in the woods behind the camera, like maybe 20, 30 feet away. And I'm like, you hear that, man? And he's like, yeah, I hear that. And so I forget the logistics of how this whole thing played out, like when we hit the lights, but I stood up, and you see me from like torso down on the camera. And we have a shotgun microphone, so it's picking up the audio towards us great. You know, you guys know it's not meant to pick up the audio behind us.
Yeah.
So we're standing there, and I believe we hit the lights at this point. I can't remember. But all of a sudden, we hear something running at me. And it was just like, boom, 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 just charging, heavy. And like Joel yells, I had a 10 millimeter on my hip. I pull out my 10 millimeter and I point. He must have hit the light at this point, but I look, and it runs right up to the camera that I'm standing in front of, like 5 feet in front of me. And I'm looking, and there's absolutely nothing there. I see absolutely nothing, but we both heard this thing charge. And then we're standing there confused, and like 20 seconds goes by, and all of a sudden we hear behind us in the woods this loud, high-pitched scream, just as like, ah! And my brother Jack and Ward were back at base camp, and they heard it. And they radio in, and they're like, what are you guys doing? Like, they thought it was us messing around. And I'm like, it ain't us. And I pick up the camera, I'm like, we out. And as we're walking, all of a sudden, you hear us say it on camera, we're radioing back to Ward, and we're like, there's a bunch of monkeys going off around us, because all of a sudden after the screen, we hear this, like a bunch of them. And I was like, in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on? So we book it. We get out of there. We get back to base camp. Some owls flew over us. It freaked us out a little bit.
Owls.
And it's always the owls, man.
Dude.
But
They became owls.
they,
Gosh.
they you say what you think is jokes. We get back and we analyze the footage. Now, Jack was there, and he can attest that he heard monkeys. I heard monkeys. When we listen back to the audio, the charge that I said happened, we caught that on audio. You hear it run up to the camera. You hear the scream, scream. We pick up the camera and we're getting out of there. You hear Joel say over the radio, there's monkeys going off in the woods. But what you hear on audio sounds like owls. Yeah. And I was like, listen, I know barred owls can sound like monkeys. What I heard, was I in my head at that moment? Maybe.
But you both said monkeys.
But everybody heard monkeys. But on the audio, it's owls.
And if anyone watching is like a hunter, I want to know, because in the woods, you hear them, but it's typically they talk to each other. So one will sound off, and then there's a period of silence, and then the next one, and it kind of slowly. That's been my experience hearing. So I would love to know if someone's heard, like, just for the argument's sake.
Yeah,
I don't think
sure.
the argument's there, but
I'm fine with the argument.
if somebody has heard owls like in gang vocal, like all,
So they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
See, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
So where can they find this footage? What is the dogman?
So we haven't released that documentary
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
The Sasquatch and Missing Man is right now only available on my OTT website, merkelfilms.com. They can stream it there on demand. But that film, the punchline to that whole story is we decided we were going to shoot that documentary, reshoot it, and we were going to start out with that action and be like, how did we get here? You know?
Yeah.
And then
so this is me. I bet you're probably wondering how I got it.
So we were gonna spend an entire week in that area, and this is public hunting land. Okay, it's TVA. It's been that for forever. Just 2 weeks ago, I got a text message from my friend who found that giant canine print.
Yeah.
He said, "Dude." And he sent me a picture, and on the picture, there's a gate going across this trail going in there, and it says federal property, no trespassing.
Dude.
What are we doing?
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Does that not validate
Yes.
just everything?
The government involvement. And here's the thing. I had just talked about this on a recording that hasn't come out yet, but I had a guy, Stacey Brown, in the studio last week, and I told him that, and he said, you shouldn't have talked about it on the show. And I was like, you're absolutely right.
Ninjas are butterflies.